Hey,
Hello.
guys. How you
Hi.
doing? How are the
Well, we
rehearsals going?
well, this is where we are, isn't it, Nat?
Yeah, I'm in a dressing room.
And I'm in a dressing room too, even though I've blurred my background, because we're at Sonning, so we have to, we're getting this show on the road, so it's very difficult. And don't forget, if you want to come and see us do Calendar Girls, it's if you get to the mill at Sonning, actually it's almost selling out, but the code is Wonderbirds. So if you actually put that code in, you'll get 10% off, which is worth it because you get a lovely 3-course meal, don't you, Nat?
Oh,
It's the
lovely.
loveliest experience. Donning is such a lovely experience, and you don't have to pay for parking either.
No, it's just
Yeah.
beautiful. I love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I know last year I went about 10,000 million times.
You did. You were so supportive, Dee. You were amazing.
Amazing. Now, Dee, you weren't here with our show on Friday, were you?
No, I wasn't. I haven't been too good. I've had this bloody virus, which has sort of got hold of me and shaken me up and spat me out, and I'm just getting over it, but it's just really taken it out of me, and I'm not normally this sick, but
Do you
hopefully.
think, Natalie, the reason is that she has to have whiskey hot toddies throughout the day? Do you think that might be something to do with her pretending to have a virus?
Maybe.
Oh, when I
I'd
was
quite
in
like
Scotland,
those.
when I was in Scotland last week, June Field said to me, "I think you need a little hot toddy," but then it got into cold toddies as well. Whiskey, 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 but it
Oh
does
my
help.
Whiskey. Now, we have a very
Absolutely.
interesting guest today, and she is a joyologist. I thought we needed a bit of joy in our lives.
We
So
do.
we've got Dawn, who's actually a joyologist. I mean, isn't that interesting? I mean, what would I be called if I was an ologist? Would I be a
You're a
pushyologist?
you're a
A,
debologist.
a,
Divologist
a devologist.
Debologist.
or a butologist.
No, debologist I like.
Not a
What would-
bumologist.
Not a
Yeah.
bumologist, no.
Ah, hello. Hello. We were just talking about if I was an ologist, what would I be?
Yeah, exactly. We were just
What
sort of
gist have
working
you
it all
come
out.
up with?
Debologist, that's what they came up with. I
Oh,
want to
nice.
know, darling, how on earth, how did you become a joyologist? I mean, what happened to you to say, I'm just going to spread joy? You can see that by your face. You've just got a very
You can,
lovely
love you. You're
face.
full of joy.
Yes.
Thank you. I don't know if it chose me or I chose it, but yeah, I think, like life for me hasn't always been the happy rainbow vibes. And so I kind of found a way to cultivate more joy and happiness in my life. And then, I left my corporate job and I thought I'd made it up. I thought I'd made joyologist up, but then I found one in America. And so, yeah, I just thought, let's add ology on the end of joy and create something that I reckon the world needs right now.
It does, it does.
So
Can
how
I
do
ask
you
you?
make people joyous, Donna? What's the first thing you say, or the first thing we need to do? We are joyous, but what's the first thing we need to do?
So I've got a kind of 6-step program to happiness, but the one thing that I ask people to remember and take away, if they do nothing else, is gratitude, is having an active gratitude practice. And that is just every morning or every evening, writing down in a notebook 3 things that you're grateful for every day. There's so much research gone into gratitude. Brené Brown did some research into the most joyful people, thousands of people, and the most joyful ones were the ones that had an active gratitude practice. Now, I think I spent most of my life waiting for amazing things to happen to me that I could be grateful for. And where I'd got that wrong and got that round my neck was actually it's the gratitude that's creating the joy and not the joy that's creating the gratitude. And so if we start with gratitude every morning, then our day starts from a place where instead of waking up and going, oh, I'm in a rented flat, and like that's how I used to wake up in the morning. Now I wake up and I'm like, okay, the first thing I think of is I'm so grateful for my beautiful little girl. The second thing I think of is I'm so grateful that I've woken up in a safe, cozy, warm bed this morning. I'm so grateful that I've got milk in the fridge. I'm so grateful that my parents are coming over later. Like, I start from there. And so if that's how we start our day, like, we start from a place of love and thanks, really.
Yes, because Oprah Winfrey does that, doesn't she?
Right.
I mean, she even says thank you for having arms and legs, and being healthy, and stuff like that, because not everyone is healthy, or not everyone has.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think especially as when we can look at ourselves in the mirror and just be so critical of self, like, I've suffered with disordered eating in my 20s and 30s. I've got alopecia, so I lost all of my hair. I would look in the mirror with my bald head initially and just be horrified. It would be a woman that I didn't recognize. And I couldn't even say the word alopecia, hid the mirrors in my house. Whereas now, I've kind of cultivated this routine in the morning, whereas I go into the bathroom, make sure that like the mirrors are kind of fully lit, and I give myself a kind of, yeah, you've got it this morning, Dons. Like
You had
that's how I
was
start my day.
how did your hair fell out?
Yeah, all of it. So it first
What?
happened in my 20s,
Gosh.
which so I'm 48 now, but so yeah, it happened first in my 20s. I was a wannabe performer, used to audition a bit, finally got a role for singing for like Thompson Holidays, and I was like, oh yeah, I've got this job. So I auditioned on the Friday, got offered the job on the Monday, and by the following Thursday, like most of my hair had fallen out. And
Wow.
so, yeah, so I was about to go on stage in front of hundreds of people every evening with like no hair. So I had to buy a wig. And, back in the, 20 odd years ago, wigs weren't as fabulous as they are now. They weren't very good at all. And so it was this kind of standing on stage every night with this, what I felt was like a sort of carbuncle on myself, And so
Mhm.
now I kind of
But it
embrace
can't
that.
be
Like
the
some mornings I turn up at the sorry.
so I was going to say, well, it can't be the stress of that actual job, can it? That caused it to happen. Had other things been happening in your life to cause it?
I think alopecia is one of those mystery things that just happen. I have a feeling I'd wanted to perform for so long. And I think a lot of my life, and I think this is probably where the joy stuff comes from, a lot of my life I'd convinced myself that good things I didn't deserve good things to happen in my life. And so I was kind of going through the motions with auditioning, but really secretly deep down thinking, I'm not going to get a job. I'm just kind of going through these motions. And someone actually said, oh, you're quite good, actually. We'll give you a job. And I don't know whether that was just a complete shock to my system. But, years later, if I kind of look back with my pop psychology mind, like, yeah, I think it was just a total kind of
Shake up.
shock to my system.
Mm. So now you've turned everything around, haven't you? And so you said there are 6 steps to finding joy. So that one of them is gratitude. What are the others?
So gratitude kind of sits over these 6 steps, but the 6 steps are called the elated system for happiness. And that is energy, laughter, accessing the creative part of us, trying new things, existing in the now, but existing in the now with a sense of wonderment. And the last one is D, which is do you, and do you in a way that is unapologetic, understanding and realizing and remembering that we are these miraculous, incredible starlight human beings that have got our own thoughts and opinions and drives and choices, and we do us in a way that just is kick-ass, really. And so that's the do you. And the wonderment bit is my favorite, because we talk about mindfulness and we hear about mindfulness a lot, and we know that mindfulness is incredible for us, and we know that it kind of settles our nervous system and all of that beautiful stuff. But actually, if we kind of access wonderment and we kind of wake up that kid inside of us that goes, oh, daffodils are out, in a kind of way that isn't just like, oh yeah, spring's here, yay. It's a kind of really noticing and seeing. I mean, I went to Darwin's house yesterday, that's in Kent. I didn't even realize it's been up the road for like my whole life, and I was like, oh my God, Darwin lived here. And so I walked around and I thought, my goodness, like his kind of meticulous view of animals and plants. And I thought, yeah, that's the wonderment that we want to kind of be accessing daily.
I have felt that at times, quite unexpectedly, just walking through a field or a forest. You suddenly feel, oh my God, this is incredible. And if you could manifest that every day, I'm sure it would.
But I think you can, and I think I notice it when I walk my dogs, actually. And I love it. I love watching them play, and I love watching them, just be generally crazy. And then I think there are all these people going around with headphones on and listening to things. Why? This is wonderful. What we're looking at is, why do you want to take yourself to another place while you're doing this? I still can't work that one out.
I'm exactly the same. I'm constantly baffled as to why we adult in the way that we do. I'm constantly baffled of how we are switched off to the world around us. I love those moments in life when I don't know, we're sitting on the train and everyone's kind of got their head in their phone, and then something will happen and the train driver will say something funny, and you suddenly see like everyone's humanness come to life, right? We all like look at each other and we're like, and something happens that kind of instantly connects us as human beings. And yet we walk around most of our lives switched off. And sometimes like I did, I was in a job, I was head of commercial for a media company. I'd kind of walked around in that job for 20 odd years, I'd say with my eyes closed. I think I was on a train that I hadn't realized I was on. I had never any intention of getting on that train, but suddenly I was on it. 20 odd years later, I went, oh balls, I've done this wrong, and so yeah, it's that noticing ourselves a little bit more within the world and within the society and the room and the planet that we live on, right?
Yeah,
it's funny. You were talking about
actually...
everybody being connected, and Debbie and I are rehearsing a play at the moment. And what has been so exciting and fun about it is that last week 12 actors, the cast, big cast, wonderful director, stage management, lovely, and everybody in that room all last week kept saying, oh, aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky? Isn't this fun? Aren't we lucky? And it was so infectious. And it really was this week where everybody, it was so much joy, wasn't it?
And it still is. It still is joyous. And I think that animals can bring you so much joy and laughter and everything else. So what are you actually doing? I mean, with the joy, as you are a joyologist, do people employ you, or what happens?
Yeah, I go into businesses and talk about a happier way of working. There's a parenthesis there, which is living, right? But it's kind of the I think it has to start with how we live, how we make our sandwiches for our daughter in the morning, how we leave the house in the morning, how we communicate with the guy we buy our coffee from. Like, I think it starts there. It doesn't start the moment we walk into the office. So yes, I go into businesses and talk about this kind of happier way to exist, and in a way that is kind of understanding that, again, exactly as Natty was just saying, like, we're in a room with 12, 30, 40 people, and actually we realize that we've all got our stuff going on, and actually there's that if we start to feel connected with one another, we then start to develop and build much more empathy and much more kind of love and respect for each other. And then we start looking at how that affects our work day to day. But I also work with people individually. I also speak at events. I also work with groups. And yeah, so it's about this kind of mission, I suppose, to create a world for people that feels less meh.
Yeah, less meh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just your lovely huge smile makes that so easy. You should be doing a toothpaste down, actually.
You do look very joyous. So
Yeah, I am. And I
days-
think the lesson is, for me, is that, do I always wake out, don't get out of bed like, I don't know, a Disney princess? It's kind of like I get out of bed and sometimes I'm like, ugh. Sometimes I'm chasing my daughter around the flat trying to get tights on her. Like sometimes, there's life is going on, right? And bad stuff happens. I think this isn't toxic positivity. This isn't like glossing over the bad stuff. Kind of, don't worry, pop on Madonna and you'll be all right. Like it's not that. It's kind of an understanding that life is going to throw stuff at us. But if we kind of build a baseline of happiness, can we be a little bit more unknockeroverable? That's just a made-up word.
It's living, yeah, unknockoverable. Well, listen, Donna, it's been wonderful having you on the show. We're sorry it's quite a quick show today because Natalie and I have to get back to rehearsals because we have to be joyous and work, don't we? We're doing Calendar Girls, so we're actually being joyous about taking our clothes off, aren't we, Nat?
Speak for yourself, honey.
Oh my God.
About
It's
joy.
gonna be so amazing.
I don't know about anybody else here, but I always started my day like a Disney princess. And oh, isn't this wonderful? By the end of the day, so I started off like Julie Andrews, and by the end of the day, 5:30 evening, I would just turn into Joan Crawford. Give up coffee because I just thought maybe it's the coffee that's making me a lunatic when it gets to like 5.
Darling, it's so lovely to have you on here. And how can we get hold of you? How can people, book
Find
you?
you.
Or
So it's My Life Shines or Donna Easton on LinkedIn and Instagram. And if you look up Donna Easton joyologist, you'll find me.
Brilliant.
Right.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
We'd love to see you in real life, Donna, but we have to fly. The Wonderbirds are flying, and we'd like to say goodbye at the moment because normally we have a little chat where we say goodbye with just us. But unfortunately, we're too busy. So the Wonderbirds are now flying off to rehearsal, and we'll see you very soon. And thanks,
We
Donna,
will.
and goodbye.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you, Donna. Brilliant.
So
Thank
much
you.
love. Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Pleasure.